All right. Welcome everybody to September's Panvala Town Hall. Thanks for taking the time to be here. This is kind of the monthly call where we kind of come together to go over some quick updates on what's going on in Panvala. And then new for this month, this is the first time that we're doing this, but it's really about having a spotlight on the communities within Panvala and having them be able to share what's going on in their community with people from across Panvala. So we're excited about that. This is the first time we're doing it. If we do it and you love it, let us know. If we do it and you're like, let us know too. But we want the town hall to kind of be the best thing, the thing that you always want to come to every month. So we're always looking for feedback on that. So before we dive into the presentation, the first part is really just about announcements of what's going on in Panvala. So first of all, for everybody who shared that interview video that went out last week, thanks so much for doing that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there's basically a tweet that we put out last week to kind of share an interview video that we put together that has interviews with people from across Panvala that just shares like why they use Panvala, what it does within their community. And then a lot of communities across Panvala went ahead and shared that as well. So we got a pretty good reach with it. It has like 4,500 views, got a lot of retweets and stuff. So thanks for everyone who contributed to making that happen. It also gave us the opportunity to launch the like updated Panvala brand that we've been working on for a while. So if you haven't seen that, a good place to look is just the Twitter profile page itself, which has kind of the new logo, the new token logo, all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of the material that we'll be using going forward. If you've seen the old stuff, like what I'm wearing on my shirt, I basically I need a new shirt, but we're using the refresh material going forward. So thanks again to everybody who contributed to make all that happen. Next, the donation matching round for this quarter starts tomorrow, September 8th, and runs through the 23rd. If you have any questions about getting set up and ready to go, like we want to help you do that, but I think most people are already all set up and know how things kind of work. But basically, for the next 2 or so weeks, the donations that your community collects in Pan are going to be what's eligible for matching from Panvala's inflation. There's at current values, the inflation for this quarter is worth approximately, the value is going to show up here on the screen, 230,000. So that's what's going to be divided up between the communities and for funding what goes on in Panvala as well. So we've been doing, this is batch 12. This is the 12th time that we've kind of distributed inflation from the system. It works, we like it, we want to share it with more communities. If there's other communities that you think would be a good fit for sharing this with us as we continue to grow this endowment that we kind of all benefit from, we want to share it with them. So let them know, introduce us, and we'll get them plugged in and using Panvala as well. Any questions about this quarter's donation matching round before I go on to the rest of the stuff? All right. So next up, if you need any help with Panvala, if you have any questions, if you feel like out of touch, we have these community check-in calls that we do with each community. We try to reach out proactively to each community to get through all of them, but there's a lot of communities now. There's 59, there's 5 more that are going to be admitted this week. So if you kind of want to move yourself up the list because there's some pressing need, just reach out to us and then we'll get a call scheduled for you. We're trying to reach out to each community at least once a quarter. And if that ends up being too much for some communities, maybe once every 6 months. But basically, we want to hear from you. We want to help you. We want to get all your concerns handled. So definitely get in the queue for those community check-in calls. The Telegram channel is probably the best place to get the link for that because it's not here. But if you want to sign up, that is a thing you can sign up for. So just ping us in Telegram and we'll get you all situated. And then lastly, as I mentioned before, like the community spotlight is a new thing that we're doing for this month, starting this month that we want to continue doing. So basically there's going to be space during these monthly town halls for communities like yours to share what you've been up to start discussions based on what your community is fascinated about. and really just spend time cross-pollinating across Panvala's communities and getting the word out about the fascinating things that each community is doing. So if you and your community want to take advantage of that opportunity to be able to share what you're up to, we want to get you in the queue for that. There's going to be the community spotlight in October, and then November, December. So we want to get as many interested communities in the list for that, so we can get you all scheduled and slotted in, so we can make this community spotlight thing special for everybody. So if you're interested in being a part of that, again, reach out and we'll add you to the list, and then we'll get you slotted in for a particular month. So that is all the announcement type things that I have. Anybody have any questions? All right. So I think we're actually still waiting on our presenter to join the call. He's running a little bit late, but we're going to have a presentation from MetaGame. In the meantime, if is everybody familiar with what MetaGame does? Basically, if you go to metagame.wtf, they kind of have a overview of kind of their vision for what decentralization looks like, and I think it's pretty fascinating. Basically, they're trying to be this onboarding funnel for people who are building this decentralized world that people talk about so much in the Web3 space. So both like helping new people get plugged into the right places, and then building these profiles, this decentralized profile system. So each person who's kind of a builder in Web3 has a place to say, hey, this is who I am. This is the kind of things that I do. These are the projects that I contribute to. These are the DAOs that I contribute to. So what they're building is kind of going to be, I think, a really useful resource as this decentralization movement continues to grow, for people to find each other, get connected, and know how they can help contribute to different projects. So I think that's going to be really cool to hear more about that.
Nuran,
Yeah.
Bridget and I would like to talk about the Women in DAOs research. I'm just giving her the, if we have space.
We do have space, so let's go for it.
Okay, let me just give her the link to the Zoom call. She's available.
Go for it.
Okay. She's coming. Cool. Did everybody like update your Gitcoin grant page? Because it's the round is starting.
Yeah, that's definitely something you want to do to make sure that both the latest information is there, but also I think the grants that have been recently updated get more visibility on the Gitcoin platform. So if it looks like your grant is stale, they're not going to show it as much. But if it looks like it just got updated, then it gets shown. So you definitely want to update your grant.
Yeah, to update ours. I think we might take it down after this round.
Why are you taking it down?
Simply because I got a pretty small, but I got a small grant from Polygon as part of my like quote unquote signing bonus for pretty much spearheading Polygon Studios. And we've got a developer on the team now who's like a Solidity wizard, and a couple other people are joining the team, and I don't know if we really need people to give us free money anymore.
Congrats.
Awesome.
Don't really want to take it.
Nice.
Cool. So there are definitely other ways to use Panvala than just for free money, than for grants out there.
Yeah, I plan on staying as part of the community. Just mean I think we might take down the Gitcoin grant.
Yeah, just saying that as you transition away from donations, we want to make sure that we have other ways to measure like the activity in your community, so you can earn a share of the inflation for whatever community life is going on in your community, and provide perks for your community based on that. So like if you're not doing donations, then we want to talk to you to figure out what works for you.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Okay, Bridget's here.
Hello.
Welcome, Bridget.
Thank you very much.
So I'll introduce this. I'll introduce us. Okay, we weren't planning on presenting, but we really do have something to share, and it's kind of like culminating this week too. So So here's our update. So Bridget and I met in the Women-Led Web3 Coalition. So this project is born of the ideas that are circulating inside of Panvala. It did not exist before. And also Yaler also was the beginning. Yaler and Bridget worked together. Yaler's not here right now. He's probably got the baby on his shoulder. This research started with Yaler and Bridget, and in the Women-Led Web3, and then Bridget and I have kind of picked it up and we're going forward with it. But the interest, so I just want to say a little bit of my story about what this means to me. So I started Jovian Network not that long ago. And the mission of Jovian Network is to increase the positive social impacts of decentralized technologies and decentralized societies. So I just care about making the world better. And I want to look at the impact of decentralization and the tools that we use, especially in DAOs, to make a positive impact or not. So this research project really fits with the Jovian mission, and it kind of came, I feel like it just came magically to us, because it really fits what I want to do, what I want to bring into the world. But the Women in DAOs research is based on building more gender inclusive DAOs and how we can do that. So women are definitely in the minority in the DAO space right now, to an extreme degree. So rather than being, 10%, they might even be completely missing, or you might have one woman in your DAO, or you might have 0 women in your DAO. And there's just an extreme imbalance in gender right now in the DAO space, which is potentially harmful for, it's harmful for the social dynamics inside the DAOs, because it's not a balanced perspective, and it's also potentially a blocker for the long-term, the longevity of these DAOs, to only have one kind of perspective represented, or to have a perspective overrepresented and another perspective underrepresented. So we are coming together to do, and I'm actually using the next grant round to focus on this project completely. And Bridget has been using her contacts in her network to also find us funding for this important research, which we both consider to be extremely important, that will be like long-term. Sorry, how did I start that sentence? I'm using the Gitcoin grant round through Jovian, and Bridget is also pursuing other funding for that. And it's just been a really interesting so far, just collaborating with Bridget on this. She's introduced me to so much great scholarship. I have like all these amazing books now that I'm reading. And they like blow me away. And like, honestly, like I met her through Panvala, and it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for these like amazing coalition meetings and people like coming together. And also, I think what's interesting about this topic was that it is about gender inclusion, but Yaler was the one, I think, who was so irritated by the fact that women are joining and then leaving DAOs, that he was like, we have to do some research survey. So I think it really has the potential to bring together men and women and all genders to really think about like what's the implication of gender diversity in our workplaces, which has so many implications. It's just unbelievable. It's not just like we don't want to have, one gender or another, or we need to just balance it, but there's so many implications. It's incredible. So, okay, and that's the introduction. And I'm Bridget. Thank you for jumping on.
Do you mind if I say something for just a second? I also have another meeting in 9 minutes, so I apologize if I can't stay on for the whole of the duration of this. So I am the founder of something called The Bigger Pie, which I launched in September 2019. We're seeing a generational transform switch of wealth happening because of Web 3.0, because of blockchain. We've seen the internet be something that was meant to be democratic and then not. We've seen social media do the same. And I have no idea why, the idea of these decentralized organizations wouldn't go the same way unless we actually build them with the intent and learn from the mistakes in the past. And I genuinely believe that we need everyone at the design, development, deployment table, not missing out on half of the population. So this is huge in terms of being able to come into this sector at such a nascent time to be able to get what we need in at the beginning of these companies as they build, however they like to build, with the right amount of gender balance so they don't continue with the same issues that we've had in traditional industries. So this is one part of the bigger picture, and I'm delighted to be working with Steph on this. That's it.
And I wanted to say also that the focus, what we've chosen to focus on for the first like period, well, we are going to be doing research for the very first period, but is looking at recruiting and onboarding and career advancement processes, like the behavioral design of those processes inside of DAOs. So for instance, how a DAO onboards its members affects which people onboard or don't, which people are successful and empowered in their roles and which ones are not. And also the way that recruiting happens in the image and all the communications that go out publicly affects who is drawn to a DAO. So if a DAO has no female members, it begins with like, how are they speaking to the masses? How are they conveying their culture? Is it a male exclusive mythology that they're using? Because that could be where the exclusion is like starting really early, and then it may continue through the recruiting and onboarding process. And women have different needs, different preferences, and not just women, but there's just a different style of needs and preferences. Both people have masculine and feminine in them. But if we're only speaking to the kind of masculine needs and preferences, then we end up with like very competitive processes to get people into DAOs and into positions. And we don't work in these other ways that could be getting, I think, women into DAOs and also people into positions that are not just development positions. But so we are also looking for people to refer if they would like to be a part of the research. So if you're interested in your DAO being a part of the research, so the onboarding process, the recruiting process, if you're interested in having us look at it with you and examine it with you, we are looking for partners to be subjects. It's like sample set in the research and to do experiments to help make things better.
So this book is the most fascinating book of all the, because I look through things that are a gender issue, but as women make up half the population, it's not just women that are in there. There are the intersectionalities of things. But this book is the one that actually gives ideas of how people can, and organizations and individuals and teams can put things into practice that will make a difference. So a lot of unconscious bias training is ineffective, basically. So what we need to do is not to deliver training, but to deliver design practices and processes in place when it's common that the biases can kick in, so that we can remove those. And that's what we're looking to be able to do. How does that work in the existing DAO processes? Most people won't have thought about it because most organizations haven't. So I think it's fair to make that assumption. And then let's test and experiment and see what works. And it'll be slightly different for slightly different ones, but then we can take away the general principles to help other people to put in some of these experiments and then tweak them to suit theirs. their cultures.
Sounds like a really important study that you guys are doing. Thank you for doing it and for presenting about it.
No worries. And if we're lucky, we'll have UC Berkeley involved with it as well. We have a call with them next week. And Stephanie, if you'd like to join me on that call, you're more than welcome.
Love to. I would love to. Yeah, I think it'll be really interesting to experiment and create some. I've developed onboarding processes for a couple of DAOs before, DAOs that were predominantly male, to be honest. And I've done decentralized operations, for DAOs. But I think it'll be really interesting to think about the impact that these processes, and do some design, like process design, because one example that's really interesting in the book is like when I don't remember if it was the National Orchestra, it was some orchestra, they didn't have women in the orchestra, it was all male. And when they implemented a simple thing, which was just a curtain between the judge and the
musician
talent, right? They started to recruit women. They just implemented that simple design change. And because the judges said, no, we're just concerned with the sound. It's just that the men, we're just concerned with the sound, but they were actually biased. So it'll be interesting to see what tweaks we can make in decentralized environments like Discord, or these environments that we come into that we're still not really fully familiar with them yet, and how they affect us.
They literally, to fundamentally shift the balance of the orchestra, they literally just put a curtain in front of the musician. Yeah. It was that simple, and it changed everything. So those are the things that we're looking for.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for sharing. If anybody wants to get more involved with that, please reach out to Steph and Bridget. I think it's going to make a big impact across the DAO ecosystem.
Cool. I have to jump off now. Thank you so much. I would have made time my day. Knowing about it, but that's my issue. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you.
So next up is MetaGame. So I talked a little bit about what MetaGame is before. I'm really excited to see what they have to present. If you haven't heard about MetaGame, again, it's basically the onboarding funnel for builders into Web3 and building a platform for decentralized profiles called MyMeta that helps people building the Web3 ecosystem show off like what their skills are, what they contribute to, and find other people to work with as we build this all out. So Peeth, feel free to take it away from here.
Thank you. Yeah, I also want to say like how it's super important to get more diversity in this space. Like it's so young male dominated, and it's hard, and it's like especially hard in MetaGame because it's like so like gamified, and it attracts more like males, I guess, than females, and it's a like general problem in space, and yeah, it's a hard problem. And would actually love some, like if some people here have some advice about that, I would actually love to hear it and talk about it after this call. So that would be awesome. And let me share my screen. Okay. So I was asked to do a presentation on MyMeta profiles, but I don't have a presentation on MyMeta profiles, so I'll do the whole MetaOS thing, which is like only like 4 slides long, so it's good. And yeah, like as Niran said, what we're doing currently, can I get rid of these things so you can see just the screen? Maybe not, maybe yes.
We don't see anything else. It's just the slide.
Oh, I thought you see the Zoom overlay. Okay,
nope.
That's good. Yeah, so like as Niran said, we're building this onboarding system for crypto, and the other, so that's one meme, like the onboarding machine, and the other one is a decentralized factory. So basically trying to bring it to one place, anything that people need for starting a project in the crypto space, more focused on the Ethereum system and the DAO ecosystem. So any like from knowledge to different DAOs who serve different different needs that new DAOs have, from like building to funding to marketing. That's the general idea. But yeah, overall idea, like once we get through this initial phase, the goal of MetaGame is to build this sort of decentralized society, which is again, yeah, bringing together these different pieces, like from profiles to whatever people need in a society. So it was never about like MetaGame building all the pieces, but just about bringing all of these Web3 pieces together and assembling them into a puzzle that makes up a new kind of society. And like we don't want to be like the decentralized society. So of course, everything that we're making is also open source, and we want to make it useful for the wider ecosystem. And so problem that we're currently facing is that parts of MetaGame are all over the place. So like from the XP stuff, and like we have a separate page for XP, then we have a different page for digging deeper in XP, then we have a DAO, then we have a seed claiming page, seed trading, seed staking, wiki, podcast, newsletter, YouTube, Discord, forums, Notion, calendar. Like these are not even all the parts there is. Like these are just the most important ones. And it also seems to be a problem that many other DAOs are sharing. Like everybody's using like a lot of different Web2 tools and some Web3 tools, but it's all across, like spread out across the internet, and you have to go navigate to different pages, and it's kind of hard to have it all in one place. And yeah, so that's similar outside of MetaGame, and you have like this protocol X, dep Y, like all these different building blocks and protocols and deps that like we've always talked about, making all this. I mean, it's all like theoretically interoperable, but we don't really have a good interface for it yet. So like you have Zapper for DeFi stuff, but you don't have anything for like the social side or the DAO side, like no interface, like bringing out that interoperability really. And all these different pieces that are, most of them are actually just inside between MetaGame and Radial. So like we are building these MyMeta profiles, and they have built these smart invoices which allow people to set up contracts between each other. And then we got these sources initiatives, we got the skill trees getting built by, that's like an interdao initiative. Then we are writing playbooks in MetaGame which also tie directly to skill trees. And like the bounties protocol, and yeah, you can imagine like all of these different pieces that different teams are building, that like if you put them together, they would make up a fabric of a decentralized society. But right now they're all like across the internet. And so what we're trying to build with the Meta OS is just have this meta framework for running these different pieces. So like bringing them together, and it basically starts just like a duct tape, just trying to put it all together. And like the main thing is this modular mega menu and the dashboard, where like the idea is that other communities can like quote unquote install different apps inside this dashboard, inside the menu, and the dashboard can be assembled however they wish. And it starts with simply like integrating all of these different Web2 tools with iframes, and integrating all the things that we have built ourselves and that we're using ourselves. But then with time, we can evolve it into making it as easy as possible for people to integrate different depths. So like all of these Web2 services will need to, with time, like be replaced with Web3 services, which should be interoperable. And we want to make it as easy as possible for people to integrate other depths and services into this sort of operating system, and then have other communities deploy it for themselves, customize it however they want, and use it to run their communities. This is just the design for the dashboard. You see the basic stuff like the events, the leaderboard, and the content, and up there are the stats. We have the XP, which is like what you get for the activity. Seeds are the tokens. And we're also trying to measure morale. So like when you log into MetaGame, you are asked like, how are you doing today? Or questions like that, which then helps us determine like the overall well-being of the community. And the doing good is just like a MetaGame fund for funding good initiatives outside of MetaGame, so like ecological and philanthropic initiatives. But yeah, the idea is this would just be the starting point, and then anybody can like flip around these different modules, make their own modules, and like change the dashboard to what is useful to them. And this would be like, yeah, the first step. Then you have this mega menu, which is actually, the design is not fully finished, so that's why it's white. But yeah, you get the idea. Like you have these different, I'm actually not seeing it because of the Zoom toolbar, but I think there's like a community, learn, earn, or like contribute and invest. And like these are the main categories. And then inside these, you can add different apps. So you see like in the community, we have players, patrons, guilds, alliances, Discord and forums. And then like you get these, you go to players and you see these player cards, which is these profiles, which was actually what this whole presentation was supposed to be about. So we're building these MyMeta profiles, which are based on Treebox, or the newest IDX and ceramic that the Treebox team has built for like a decentralized identity system. So that's what the profiles are based on. And we are trying to make them also like as modular as possible. And you can see things like, yeah, like from basic stuff like the description and links to like GitHub account or Twitter, and like time zone, availability per week, your like personality type. You have these different DAO memberships and how many shares you have in each DAO, have what skills you have, and what NFTs you got. And this is just the current live version. So like with time, we are starting to build like these different new blocks for people to like either have a blog that's about like your education or past experiences in different work, or like simply just embedding different links so you can pin these like different things that you like, a post that you wrote or like something that you built. But the long-term idea is to really have them as modular as possible and like as modifiable as possible, so that people can change the colors, the background, and really use their profiles for whatever they want. And even like at one point like integrate different dApp interactions. But yeah, the first one is being that what we're currently integrating, as I mentioned before, is the smart invoices by Radial. So there will be a button like for collaboration. So you open someone's profile, you click the collaborate button, and it opens like a contract with you, and you can like get somebody to either do something for you or sell you something, and you put money in escrow. And then if they fail to do it, you set the arbitration to another like third-party DAO, like the Radial is using Lex DAO. We can like use Lex DAO. We can use One Hive Celesti, which is their version of Aragon Court, or whatever other DAO or address you want to set to arbitrate. So they should allow people to do business directly through their profiles. And then like the next step for the profiles will be to have a block or like a page where people will be able to set what kind of services or products they offer and what they need. So that should be the basic. Stephanie, let's you raise the hand.
I have a question. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is really fascinating. I mean, it's kind of like, I mean, it's reminding me a bit of LinkedIn because it's buildable, right? By the people themselves.
Mm.
It's buildable. So is this totally customizable by the people themselves, or does it pull something from like their memberships on chain or?
So the memberships are pulled from either DAO host memberships, or like the new version is also supporting Discords. So because like not all DAOs have a DAO house DAO, or like not all guilds are DAOs at all. So we noticed that most people are using Discord. So we built this like onboarding bot for people to make like guild pages. So right now we have these player profiles, which are customizable by players, and we have guild pages, but they're centralized. So like the new version will allow people to change the guild pages and have it so that like you want to onboard your project and you onboarded the bot to the Discord, and then you said, okay, this role represents like members of our team, or like this role represents the community or whatever. And then it also populates person profiles with their membership, and the guild profile has memberships, which are the people from the server. And the NFT gallery is currently pulled from the OpenSea API.
I'm also curious about the skill tree. Like with the skills in the skill tree, how is that verifiable? Is there somebody that goes in and verifies that you have these skills, or it's just a bot that you respond to and then this shows up?
So the skills, like the current system is you just select like what skills you have, and that's it. So like for me personally, I think this is enough, because like if you have escrow between players and somebody says they can do something, like they are incentivized to tell the truth, because like if they're not telling the truth and they fail at doing something, then they like lose the money, because I want to have like a staking system. So like when it's not like one-sided, like the person who is hiring puts the money in escrow, but both people should like put money in escrow to sort of be incentivized not to lie and like to deliver what they promised to deliver. But the skill tree system is actually that is being built by the Deep Work and Raid Guild, based on Michael Zargam's paper on skill attestations. And he developed this whole, they like in collaboration developed this whole system of like coming up, like somebody like comes up with a new skill, and this whole sort of like apprenticeship system. And then whoever is the master of that skill can mint a skill NFT that represents that skill. And like whoever, who becomes a master from the apprentice, then also receives the ability to mint this NFT for other people, which is meant to be sort of like a skill attestation NFT.
So it's like a working group steward or something, somebody who is monitoring the quality, I guess. Like let's take design for instance, like there's a lot of people in the design space, but not everybody can produce the quality that every community is looking for.
Right.
And to be of that caliber, like it's not just reacting to a bot, because I've been in the MetaGame server and I see the skill bot and like the web that's created, and that's really cool to be able to do that. But who gets to decide like the quality and the threshold?
Yeah, the skill bot that we have on the server is just like a fun side project, but by one of the members. But the skill trees is like a completely separate project that's being built outside of MetaGame. And it's like peer-to-peer attestations. If anybody's interested in that, I can add you to this Skill Forest Telegram group, which has like 15, 20 different like reps of different organizations, and a few people.
Yeah, I'd be interested
on building.
in being added to that. I don't know if I DM you or whatever.
Okay, yeah, you can DM me. I think I know you. I can find you on Telegram.
I could do it on Discord. I can find you.
I don't have you on Telegram. Just send me a message on Telegram. I'm Pete Eat. So like this, but also another Eat at the end.
Yeah, to me, the coolest thing about like MetaOS and MetaGame is that it's kind of this missing piece where like if you see somebody's on-chain activity, you kind of know nothing about them directly, because there's no like place to collect the stuff that you've done on chain and kind of display it in your own context. It's like, hey, this is what this transaction means to me. This is what this token holding means to me. This is what this DAO membership means to me. And to be able to connect that with actual people makes more of what's happening on chain real, and it makes it more useful, rather than just kind of like, oh, here's this transaction with this hash that went by that doesn't have the context and the meaning around it.
Right.
Yeah, and I guess that's what I'm so interested about is, there's so much innovation with this in the blockchain technology, but I'm really looking to bring this to the ground and like projects on the ground. And if you were to take a DAO and put it on the ground and make a an intentional community around a decentralized organization, like how do we give the people who have the skills the value that they deserve, or the building power that they deserve, versus people who are just starting in that field. And so really like implementing that in the real world and not just in the virtual blockchain world.
Right. Yeah, so far we haven't really had the good tool for that. And yeah, it can all be part of the profile. Like you can come up with different modules that are either based on like past transactions. So you can have like a block that's about what tokens you have, and you can like write reasons. Okay, I hold this token because I believe in this community for this reason, and things like that. Or like having endorsements like on LinkedIn.
Yeah, or even just
Things
holding
like
an
that.
NFT in your wallet that gives you the badge that allows you for however many more points or whatever it is in that area, because you hold that skill set, or you
Right.
be considered a master in the area rather than like a novice.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, that's kind of what we're trying to do. Like we don't want to like build all these pieces ourselves, but really just to build this basic profiles that like other people can just build pieces on top of. And we have like a working group with the Treebox team that's called the Web3 Profiles. That's about bringing together anybody who's interested in these profiles, and then we can either collaborate on the lower level on like the data schemas, so that like if we are building like a skill module on Treebox or like the IDX, and other team is also building it, then it makes sense to like collaborate on the data schema so that the skills are displayed properly across both interfaces. So we can
And does
collaborate
source
on
code
the...
come into play with any of these profiles?
you can see the MetaGame. I see a diamond, which is like my diamond, my rank in MetaGame, and the XP is how much XP I have, which is based on source code.
Based on source code. And what about in like the specific skill tree?
The specific skill tree, what do you
You
mean?
know, like depending on how much time you spend mastering a certain skill or something, is source cred able to play a part in which skill it is that you are contributing to, and maybe you level up or your XP goes to those skills, you know?
Not yet. They've been talking about that, like having this sort of colored cred, which is about having a cred based on. So you don't have just one number of cred, but you have like split it across different domains. I think that would be cool, but source cred is not there yet.
Yeah, it's an innovative technology for sure, and also like figuring out the computer versus human aspect, and that's the part that interests me so much.
Right, and also how do you like combine this across different communities? Because different communities might measure it differently, or it might be worth less in one community than in other, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, value is based off of what we agree, right? So, yeah.
There's another project being built by one of our members as well, MetaDreamer, called the MetaCred, which is about they're building like a source cred DAO, but also trying to bring together from like cred from different communities, but not just basing it on source cred, but also pulling data from like Coordinate and other like Colony and different like Web3 tools for like reputation systems. So we'll see how that goes. But the profiles are, the idea with profiles is not to go into that much detail in like one part of the profiles, like the skills or something, but more so to create the base layer where others can then build these different pieces. And so where I was before is that we have this working group where people can either collaborate on the lower level on like the data schemas, adopting the same data schemas so that profiles can be displayed correctly across different interfaces. And then the other one is whoever wants to fork our interface and like deploy it for their own DAO and collaborate on the MyMeta level.
So when you're talking about your profile information showing up in other places, like what do you have in mind? Like where in your vision, where do people see this kind of profile data besides this profile?
So like if any other project that's sort of like MetaGame wants to have these profiles, or like I don't know, Zapper, or like whatever other platform or DAO wants to use like MyMeta for their own membership directory. And then like since all the data is hosted on Ceramic, and it should be people should be able to access all of these profiles through different dApps or different interfaces.
Do you see this something that could be useful like on the ground outside of digital technology, that could be useful within a society that's being created? I mean, value measurement is something that you make it. And so finding a way to measure that value and to see it happening and recognize it without necessarily the person themselves being like, oh, hey, look at me, I did this thing. And how do you do that outside of a computer?
Right. I hope so. I think like NFTs allow it at least partially, because you can add different like specific metadata to an NFT. So like if you went to a physical project that's like building a village or something, and then the village gives you an NFT that's about, okay, you built this person built a hut, or like this person contributed this much to our project. Or if the project decides to have a token, then you can also display that as the memberships and things like that. And right now, for example, we have a Bright ID integrated. So I don't have one, but players that have a Bright ID connected to their account also have a Bright ID. And we want to integrate like the proof of humanity and whatever other Sybil resistant identities people want to use. Just make it, allow people to integrate it.
I think what's cool about this is it's endless, right? It's so extensible. So it can really become everything. So many people are building stuff for identity right now. So if this is this modular, I mean, I could see people getting really maximalist with their MyMeta profile and having it go on forever with like everything about them, and getting like really creative with it. And also coming up, like skill tree is cool, but I could also see people abstracting that and doing like, you know, personality, like different types of personality scores, or different types of you know, their astrological profile. I don't know. Like I could see people getting really like creative with this because it's so modular. But the foundation that it's pulling the memberships, that it's pulling source cred, like it has some nice like foundational pieces going on. Yeah,
like we initially wanted to start with the Myers-Briggs personality types.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, then we went for the Enneagrams because it seemed like more intuitive. People don't have to know the letters to understand it. And we like sort of oscillated like between these two, and then in the end we ended up going with the Magic the Gathering colors. I don't know if people are familiar with that, but in Magic the Gathering, like there are 5 sort of basic personality types, which are these colors. So you have blue, you have green, you have red, you have black and white. And green is it's about like what's the person's like end goal in a way. So like green is always seeking balance, blue is always seeking knowledge, red is about like passion, black is like about stepping over whatever to achieve their goals, white is about establishing order. And you can see like these sort of like
fascinating. So you're truth seeking.
Yeah, and that's like the combination between the balance and like knowledge seeking.
It's probably pretty good that you're not the one that steps over other people and then and you're giving this presentation.
Right. And this also allows us then to filter people based on it, because our onboarding will be so that like people make the profile and then use the profile to apply to join MetaGame. And so if you see, okay, you're all black, like you're a black personality, like we probably don't want you in MetaGame.
Wow.
And is there somebody that oversees that or verifies that in some sort of way, or it's just that whoever says whatever they are is just trusted?
Yeah, it's pretty much just trusted right now. Yeah. Like the way our current onboarding system works is people just fill out a form and then somebody either is like, okay, this person sounds cool, and then we'll let them in, or they're talked to more. But people don't become a player instantly. There's this sort of testing period that lasts a month where we can see how people behave in a community and if they're really here to contribute or they're here to extract value, and generally what are they like.
And is there an admin place where people can flag people or something, or somebody can just go on and create the perfect profile that they think people want to see? Or is there a way that that's monitored?
No, anybody can create whatever profile they want, because the idea with the profiles is that really just like profiles. MyMeta is MyMeta and MetaGame is MetaGame. So like anybody should be able to create a profile without needing to be a player, so they can use it for their own personal stuff. And we want to create a separate page. There will be like an interface to create it through MetaGame, but there will also be like its own landing page that are specifically just for the profiles. So like either people can use it for their own personal needs, or projects can use it for their like membership directories, but like none of them have to be affiliated with MetaGame in any way.
So there's no real system for like filtering out bad actors.
We have the innkeepers, which are like the not community managers, I guess, because there are many of them, and they mostly like keep track of who's doing what and what people are reporting to. We have this channel where people report what they did, and the innkeepers are generally in charge of that. And the onboarders help filter and do this like cohort onboarding, and then the onboarders give their feedback on what they think the person is like, and they have a final say on whether they think the person should become a player or not become a player.
Right, but within MyMeta, like, is it possible to just create the perfect profile regardless of your skills, regardless of your picture or whatever? Or is there like a back-end way for admins to say this person is not who they say they are?
No, with MyMeta, we really want to make it like completely permissionless, because we want these profiles to be like decentralized, and like not MetaGame is not in charge of the profiles. These are just like this is just one of the tools that we built, and then like within MetaGame we can not allow people to join, but on MyMeta level, like people are free to just create however they want. They won't be able to cheat like the NFT gallery or like the memberships, but for the skills they can put whatever skills they want to lie about or not lie about.
Mm-hmm.
So we are at time for the hour. Thanks so much to Pete from MetaGame for coming and sharing what you guys have been up to. Really excited about these profiles, and really excited about the kind of the MetaGame vision for what this decentralized technology can bring about. If you haven't dived into the MetaGame community, it's a pretty vibrant community. You're going to see a lot of people with octopus emojis next to their name, where you can find the right people. But definitely take a look at what's going on there. For next month, again, we're going to do a community spotlight like this. If your community has a discussion they want to host or something they want to share, that's kind of a slot that you can take on for communities within Panvala. So we definitely want to hear from you. Thanks everyone for coming. And again, thanks for being part of Panvala. If we're going to be able to drive more resources to community life, it's going to take a lot of us working together, and I'm glad you're a part of it. Thanks everybody.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Darren. You're the best.
Yeah,
And
if anybody's interested in the profiles or the skill forest, I sent my contact info, and just message me and I'll add you to the group.
Fascinating. It looks great. It's coming. It's shaping up really cool. Thanks for presenting.
Thank you.
All right. Take it easy.
Bye.
Have a good one, everybody.
Bye, everybody.